With Bo at Top Golf, Kevin and I were not too far away from that area last night. We've already posted up some pictures and posted up some video on TikTok and the YouTube shorts. Kevin and I had a wonderful time, and I want to thank him publicly for the invitation and the chance to go to see one of our all-time favorite artists, Emo Phillips. And actually, he is. I really love Emo Phillips. He's a fantastic comedian, but he opened for none other than Weird Al Yankovic. So, Kevin, what'd you think, man? I believe that was your first time seeing Weird Al live, and what were your impressions with it?
Yeah, it was definitely my first time seeing Weird Al. And it was interesting because this concert wasn't one where he, normally you would assume that when you go and see Weird Al, he's going to do all of his parodies. I mean, that's his most popular stuff. But this concert was not that. He was actually going over some music from, like early 80s, like when he first started, all the way up to some of the stuff that I'm more familiar with. Because I mean, I will be perfectly honest. I'm a Weird Al fan, but I'm not a fanatic. So I don't know all of his music. I haven't listened to all of his albums, and I don't have everything memorized. But you know what? There were sure some people there that did, because there several, I don't know if Brock noticed this, but several rows up from us, about midway on the side that we were on, there was someone there that got visibly happy anytime they mentioned any new song that was coming up. And I could definitely pinpoint which ones were that person's favorite, because they were like me whenever they're, when it's like, back in the day when the May the 4th be with you, the May the 4th day, when they would announce new things, and I was like on the edge of my seat, and I was like super excited. These people were true fans, and it was good being a bit of a filthy casual there, and just enjoying Weird Al in my own way. The guy sitting next to me was a lot younger than me, big fella, and he leaned over before the show started, and he said, "What song of his do you wish that do you kind of hope that he'll play?" And I was like, I couldn't really think of anything, and I was like, dude, I hope he plays all of them, man. I mean, that's really the only answer that I can give him. I mean, it was like a really answer, but I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. Bleep. But yeah, it was really cool. I mean, he did play some of the songs that I was very familiar with, that I could sing along with, and I know Brock got excited on quite a few of them as well.
Yes, he did. Yeah,
just about every one of them. I did know all of the songs he sang, because I'm. Yeah,
like it was all his original stuff. He really didn't do anything of his parodies.
He did at the end when he did the encore. He came back on stage, and they did this really cool segment where he did Yoda. And
it was if you know his polkas, how he combines a whole bunch of songs into his polkas. He kind of did that in kind of a Vegas lounge type.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Instead of a polka, it was more of a really laid back Vegas lounge feeling. But he went through some of his probably about no more than 10 of his parodies in that type of format.
Yeah, and it was only like if he was just piecing them together. So he did White Nerdy. My favorite one that he did was The Night Santa Went Crazy.
Did he actually did he actually play that?
Yes.
Wow. Just because of just how things are nowadays, especially with that song kind of
he changed 4 lines at the end.
And he actually made it more racy with those lines.
It was worse.
Yeah. Why did he change this? But I really liked it. I mean, it was great. But I mean, the way he introed it, like between every set, they would change the lights and they would just point 2 regular lights at him. And then he would give like an intro. And he said, and I feel like I'm going to play some songs from my extensive Christmas catalog of 2 songs. and he decided to do The Night Santa Went Crazy, which is one of my favorite songs of all time of his. I mean, that next to Stuck in the Drive-Thru. I love that song.
Yeah.
Did he do his Devo inspired Dare to Be Stupid?
He did a Vegas lounge.
Oh, that was in with the okay.
Of Dare to Be Stupid. Yeah, he was talking about his bandmates. He's like, I met these guys at a Ramada Inn back in '82, and you know, I heard this wonderful music coming from down the hall, and I had to go down there, and I walked in, and I saw these guys playing this wonderful music in Vegas, and well, I asked them right then and there, hey, do you guys want to be in my band? They said, yeah. So I signed them to a 40-year contract, and that's, I guess that's coming up for renewal soon. We got to discuss those terms, but and we're going to recreate exactly what they were playing that night that we met. And they started off, and it didn't sound like it at first, and then as soon as they started singing, and I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So yeah, it was Dare to Be Stupid lounge version.
He was really into that, doing a lounge style,
and they were good.
Like I mean, like everything he did, like if he could change it up to be lounge style, he was doing that.
What about? I'm trying to think some of my favorite. Like I said, I didn't go because I wanted a full experience. Like no offense to what he was wanting to do. I want the actual experience.
And you know, here's the thing, and I'm going to look it up really quickly. Weird Al is now
62 years old.
I mean, I don't expect him to do everything. Yeah,
I would tell you, I would tell you from previous experience, and we talked about it in one of our first episodes of the podcast. Weird Al has been my all-time favorite stage show because when he does his parodies and his costume changes and stuff, yeah, you get the best stage show you'll ever see in your life. And he didn't budge off his stool the entire night.
Well, he stayed there the entire time. I mean, he sat on his stool and just kind of moved around, but he had his accordion right next to him. He had a couple of solo cups of water, and he had a bullhorn that he needed for one of the songs. That's it. He stayed there the whole time.
Yeah, and great. The band members did too. They all stay seated until the encore. Then they got up and they started looking at their phones, and they realized that the stage at the Alabama Theater is not that big, so they couldn't really walk off. So they all just sat down on the back of the stage and were looking around and looking at their watches. And then they got okay. So all right, now we'll do the encore. And got up. But yeah, you're not going to at this. Yeah, just like you said at the beginning, we know everybody loves the parodies, but this concert is going to be full of the songs that maybe aren't so popular. And I'm like, maybe the ones that didn't get radio play, but if you're a fan and know these songs, they're incredible.
Like I'm trying to think some of the other ones. Did they do One More Minute?
I say that now. One More Minute was one that I was aware of, along with Dare to Be Stupid. And that's because back in the 80s, there was a TV special, The Complete Al. And it was like, a little parody documentary type thing. So that's how I was exposed to some of the originals in the beginning.
Yeah. In fact, that was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was the second song he did. Was One More Minute. He opened with CNR.
Oh, nice.
With Charles Nelson Riley. That was a great way to start the show.
Yeah. He even did The Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He was all over the place with the songs that he did.
And I admittedly I try not to sing out loud to all of his songs, but when Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota came, and that's how he ended the main set before the encore was with that song. I was singing out loud. Because that's the first Weird Al song that I introduced my kids to.
Oh, nice.
And when I told my daughter that today, she's like, "How was the concert?" And I said, "He ended the main set with Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota." And she goes, "Shut up!" And I'm like, "What'd you say to me?" I'm kidding, Dad. But yeah, yeah, that was great. And I love that song primarily. Not only is it fun and catchy, but it's got an Alabama connection because he mentions the Bull Weevil Monument down in Enterprise where I grew up. So that's part of the song. And of course I got, Bull Weevil Monument.
I have been exposed to more of the original catalog, through Brock. And it's just because, like part of his music playlist has a lot of Weird Al in it. And I've never been opposed to his original music. I've just been more, except for the stuff that came out with UHF. Some of that was original songs. It wasn't parody,
and he did one original song from the UHF soundtrack. Let Me Be Your Hog. He did that one, and it was all like 20 seconds. Yeah. It was great.
And he did it like this really big build up to it.
He's like, this one was going to the top of the charts. It was on the way, and for some reason, it just didn't get there. Let me be your hog. Yeah. But
and the whole theater went nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
He did sing my favorite original song, which is Good Old Days.
That's a good
That's
one.
my absolute favorite. And she probably doesn't listen to the podcast, but we're still good friends. But there's a part in the song where he talks about, do you remember Sweet Michelle? She was my high school romance. She was fun to talk to and nice to smell. So I took her to the homecoming dance. Then I tied her to a chair and I shaved off all her hair and I left her in the desert all alone. But sometimes in my dreams, I can still hear the screams. I wonder if she ever made it home. I dated the girl in the 8th grade named Michelle.
That's
right around the time of the homecoming dance. And so that song is always, since the 8th grade, has been in my wheelhouse. And that's my favorite original song from his. And he sang that. And I was like, Michelle, I'm so sorry.
Now, Brock, he did do a cover.
He did.
A cover song.
Oh,
he did. Here we go.
One that we can't post, and it's one of Jess's favorite songs of all time.
You should have seen her reaction when I got home last night, because I took video of it, and I told her, I said, he did a cover song, and she goes, yeah, which one? And I said, he said, because we're in Birmingham, it's appropriate. And she gave me this look, and then I fired it up on my phone. Big wheels keep on turning. And she's like, oh gosh. She hates Sweet Home Alabama.
I really do. I mean, I know I shouldn't, but
I think we've been overexposed to it is the problem.
Yes,
I think you're fatigued of it.
And now that our lovely state of Alabama has licensed the rights to call us Sweet Home Alabama now. Now we get to hear it everywhere officially.
Now being how I grew up, I love Leonard Skinner. I love Leonard Skinner's music, but that's just been a little too overplayed, a little oversaturated for our state.
And
that is Leonard Skinner's Stairway.
Well,
it is
that too. Yeah,
Stairway.
Yeah,
he does have other reasons.
Stairway. I mean, it is just like their music, but the problem is it's just like Led Zeppelin with Stairway to Heaven. It's like well, this is the only thing, oh man, it's Stairway, and it's with Leonard Skinner. It's like, oh man, Sweet Home Alabama.
Well, I am the Auburn fan
out of the bunch.
And
everybody in our state, including at the show last night when he says Sweet Home Alabama, the whole theater, roll tide, roll, and
especially the row right behind us.
Yes,
so it rang through my brain because they were very loud with it.
And I know there's Auburn fans that have their 3-word,
their WDE that they love to say right in the middle of it as well. Instead of roll tide roll, they say war dang eagle.
Yeah, they have their little war cry too. So but again, it's just oversaturation.
It's
like,
I still appreciate the song, but if it's on the radio, I'm like, yes.
But to hear it in Weird Al's voice was another level.
I agree on that because he tried to give it that Southern rock
growl
to it when he was singing it.
And it's hilarious when he does it. It's hilarious when he does it.
Yeah. Golly, I mean, I mentioned Emo Phillips, so we got to talk about him.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
If you're not familiar with Emo Phillips, go back and watch UHF. Emo Phillips is the shop teacher that messes with the saw and cuts off his thumb and goes, "Oh, Butterfingers."
Brock, I actually saved one of his dad jokes. Do you guys want to hear it?
Please go ahead.
Yes, have at it, Kev.
He was right up Kevin's alley last night.
I was like, literally, Brock was like, "That's so up your alley," and I was like, literally pulling up my notes to note it down because it's like, he said, "Don't get me started about frictionless surfaces. I'll just keep going on and on." And you can imagine an emo.
I'm sure his delivery was so
God.
good.
Yeah.
I want to say he was like touring comedy clubs at one point. I want to say he came to the comedy club like 10 years ago or something. I almost went.
I was so thrilled to see him in person because I remember watching him on Letterman back in the 80s. And I tried to keep up with him from time to time because I knew he and Weird Al were friends and everything. And, it's been so many years since I've heard him, but it really didn't hit us until a couple of days. I messaged Kevin. I'm like, dude, Emo Phillips is opening for him. And I was like, I had no idea. And I got even more excited. and Emo did not disappoint.
Mm-hmm.
He was funny.
I know you're going to tell what you told me about what happened at the show when he was on stage, about the joke that he told.
Which one?
Yeah,
the one that you blurted out the punchline before he got to.
Yeah. You go to a comedy club and you try not to be that guy that blurts out the punchlines. But there is one joke of Emo Phillips I have told ever since I first heard it back in the 80s. And he was on stage. I want to do an impression of a French existential pigeon. And it went before he delivered his punchline. Here's stupid me, Pourquoi? Out in the theater. And he goes, Pourquoi?
And then, I'm surprised. I mean, the guy has, for his age, he has very good hearing. And I'm surprised he didn't go, oh.
How old is Emo Phillips now?
He's got to be 60s. He's about the same age as Weird Al.
Oh, okay. I was thinking older.
They're not too far off, are they?
No. Yeah. He mentioned that he was in his 60s because he made a joke about, before the pandemic, he used to hang out with all of his friends, but then they all got killed off during the pandemic, so he's a loner now.
Oh my God.
Well, the funny part was, the funniest part about this was at the very beginning of his set, he said, and we've got some kids. We've got some kids in the audience. This is a really good kid-friendly show. And then he starts dropping all of this adult stuff that it wasn't like really racy adult stuff, but it's more like stuff that kids are just not going to get unless you have really like aware kids. And they're like, Dad, that was kind of,
the worst joke the worst joke he did was he's like, I was staying, they put us up in a nice hotel and I could hear the couple in the next room. Because that's what they have the glasses for, and he's like puts the glass up against the wall, listening. So it wasn't. It was a little blue, but it wasn't overboard.
Yeah, right. I got you. Yeah.
Except for the comment about the people dying from COVID. It was like, wow.
The
whole audience was like, oh.
Yeah, he's like,
and he just stood there just like sucking it all in. He was just like, oh yeah.
And then he's like, I know Alabama, you guys kind of didn't like the mask mandates, and that's okay because his brother or cousin? My cousin didn't like, when they mandated wearing seat belts. And
oh gosh,
he really didn't, or he kind of let it go, just kind of like he went through the windshield of the car. And they planted a tree in his memory. Because that's where one of the branches went in. Oh. I was rolling. Oh,
Bravo.
And he went over like a whole list of greeting cards that he apparently sells on his online store, and I mean it was some of the funniest stuff.
Oh,
I mean he was up there with what we got from Weird Al. So like if you ever see Emo Phillips come up at a comedy club like Bo mentioned earlier, and he's not touring with Weird Al and he's just on his own, don't hesitate. Go see him.
Funny.
This was nice, fresh content that he delivered. I mean, I've confirmed that with Brock. Brock was like super stunned because he had never seen him live either. But he did some of the tie-ins with, like he mentioned, with UHF, and it was cool. So it was definitely Weird Al tie-ins there. So
did Weird Al talk about his movie they got coming out, his biopic movie?
Yeah.
Let me tell this one, bro. Okay,
go ahead.
So he actually mentioned it. He's like, I don't know if you guys heard, but I got a movie coming out, and everybody just erupted in applause. And he's talking about Daniel Radcliffe and all this, and he's like, and I actually want to. We're gonna perform you the title song that we've got that's actually plays during the credits, and was getting ready, and the lights went all dark and everything, and they start getting ready to go, and he says, but because of NDAs I can't play it, and he brought the lights back up, and we were like, oh.
That's Al.
Yeah, went on to the next song. It was so good.
Yeah, I'm glad that the two of them got to go and they had fun at it, and I was kind of like, I was just really I would have liked to have gone, but in a way it was like I wasn't upset because I wasn't going, because I'm like, I hope like Bo that I can want to have that Weird Al parody costume concert experience. I hope that it's not too late.
Yeah.
And I like I said,
I'm really glad that this was my first time seeing him. Was because I got to a certain point, man. I love the biggest thing with that Weird Al's is polkas. I love his polkas.
Yeah.
I mean, I listen to them. I've got them almost all of them. Actually, I probably have all of them on my all over the place playlist. And I listen to them regularly. So I'm huge about that. But his original stuff is really good. So when we all get together, like the 4 of us or the 5 or whatever get together, and we actually go and see him for his live performance, his live show where he does all of his covers, it'll make it even better because it's not just his covers. He'll do some of his original stuff there too, so.
Yeah. And it was really neat to hear so many of the covers I never thought I would ever hear live. Cause like I said, I've seen him twice before this, and both times it's been the full costume experience. And that's a lot. There is a lot of energy in that show. And as he gets older, I can see him doing more and more of these styles of concerts. Maybe he'll bring the parody stuff back into it.
Yeah,
but maybe not do the costume changes. I mean, when they do Fat, he gets into his full fat suit and does it on stage. I mean, there's costume changes out the wazoo.
Yeah. I hope I don't miss out on a chance to see him again.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I hope not too. But for me, for this being the 3rd time I saw him and seeing it in this context, I really enjoyed it. It was. I won't say.
Go ahead.
I had never ever thought, and I told, as we were walking out of the auditorium last night, I told Kevin, I'm like, I never in my life thought I would hear Velvet Elvis in person.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah. He was his recap of the show when he got home telling me about it. He was just so happy about Velvet Elvis.
Because that's a song that I immediately knew the words to. I've not listened to it in years, but as soon as he started playing, I went, it all came right back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's singing Velvet Elvis. Are you kidding me?
I had never heard it, so I was like, this is cool. It was brand new to me. I had never heard it before.
Yeah.
I will say my final passing comment on the concert is I do a lot of for anybody that doesn't know, I do a lot of cruising. I like doing like carnival cruises. I haven't seen that many Hawaiian shirts in one place other than cruises. Yeah, I mean, Brock was in a Hawaiian shirt. Apparently, I didn't get the memo. I've got 100 Hawaiian shirts, and I come and I'm like dressed like I'm going to work. And Brock was like full. I was like, apparently, I didn't get the memo.
Oh, that's right.
Every other middle-aged guy was wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
You even have a Buc-ee's Hawaiian shirt. Yeah,
I did. Yeah, and I actually looked at it when I was getting dressed. I was like, maybe I should wear my Buc-ee's Hawaiian shirt.
What was
I had not to.
Let me think. What was the age demographic? Was it mostly folks
all
our
over
age
the
and
place?
Up? Oh, cool. That's good.
They were little kids. I mean, it was seriously. I mean, my cousin Andy, my first cousin Andy, and his son were both there
awesome.
As well.
Okay.
And Andy's just a couple of years younger than me, and his son is is in his I think he's in his early teens now. So the demographic was all over the place. At one point, we stood up on our row and let a man and his 2 children go by. They were on our row.
Like
so
5 or 6 years old.
Nice.
Little kids.
Good,
and he was like, I don't know if I should have brought them. I don't think this is going to be appropriate. We're all like, this is Weird Al, man. You're going to be fine.
Highly appropriate. It'd be fine.
Yeah, totally safe.
Yeah. It was all races, all ages there last night. It was great.
Cool. Yeah. And it was pretty packed. I don't think it was a sold out theater, but it was very close.
Well, I looked online for tickets. Like, I was just looking when you guys were talking going, and like I said, I just looked just to see how well it was, and it was about majority sold out. There were still a few random individual seats, but beyond like as a whole, it was a good show for him.
Yeah,
Brock did his best to talk Jess into coming. He's like, if you could we'll just get you one of these random seats over here, you can come. And she's like, nah.
I know. And I was
she wasn't feeling up to it though.
I kind of had a rough day yesterday. So
just a little bit, yeah.
It was I was laid up, drinking lots of fluids. So And it's like I said, I hope I have not missed the opportunity to see him.
We'll see the next go around, me and you'll be the first
That's
time
right.
to talk. So we'll do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you get a chance to see him on this tour, if he's going to come around, I know some of our friends, Jamie and Aaron Knowles, I know they went when he was in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Got to see him. And I know he was in Huntsville the night before He was there on Friday night, I believe. And
yeah, did Judd go?
He hasn't mentioned it online, so
okay.
But knowing Judd, he went.
Yeah.
Because Judd's a massive Weird Al fan as well. And
what was it? What was it? The joke?
Experience.
What was the joke about it? He was Emo Phillips said it was a mishmash of rocket scientists and people who thought that the stars influenced the weather or something. And it was like,
oh, talking about the Huntsville crowd.
Yeah,
oh,
the
that's
Huntsville
good.
crowd.
Yeah.
That's funny.
He's like, I've never seen such a split crowd. Honestly, I almost had as much of a good time with Emo Phillips as I did with Weird Al. Weird Al was phenomenal, but I had never. Honestly, other than UHF, I had to actually look it up when Brock was excited about Emo Phillips being there. I was like, who the heck is that? So I had to look it up, and I was like, oh yeah, he was the dude that was in UHF.
Yeah.
And I had and I was like, okay, well that sounds cool. I don't maybe it'll be a plus. And I walked away like I said earlier, if you ever have the opportunity to see him performing separately, or even if you go to the show, it is a selling point. He's not just an add-on. Go see the show. Yeah. Even if it's just for the comedy routine,
right?
He's phenomenal.
So funny, so funny. I was just so glad he was attached to that.
And then I'm also reminded as we sit here and talk about this concert how we missed out going to Pensacon that year.
And
that
he was
going to be there. It was 2020. It was February 2020 before the world went crazy. But I hope he'll maybe get on the con circuit again too. And
if not, next time if he comes around here again, we'll have to all sign up for the big expensive VIP experience.
Yeah.
Which Emo quickly pointed out. I'd like to say hello to everybody on the first couple of rows. These are the VIPs. That means they're the rich people. and especially by Alabama standards.
He said, oh, wow. Isn't it in this area that being a millionaire actually means that you're a millionaire and you can live on that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I mean, Brock, we could just about, I mean, he's the type of comedian that you just want to remember his act.
Yeah.
I've been to comedians before, like I've been to comedians before where it's like, yeah, you're cool, you're funny, but it's just the way that he does his act. It just sticks with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely go and see the show. It was really good.